Hello, and today I want to talk about a complicated topic. Alright, so what I've noticed in the art community is the art style determines your success. So basically, this is what I've seen. So I noticed that a lot of people will come to your art more if you're drawing a certain way, if it's in like fandom stuff that people like, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like very polished. You ain't gotta have the best skills to put out the stuff that you're putting out nowadays, because it's gonna grow regardless, because it's a massive fan base around the stuff that you're making. And when I say that, and when I say this, a lot of people will overlook this, but this is very important when trying to get your work seen, or when you're trying to grow in the art community online. This is very important. Okay, so you don't have to worry about this when you're an artist starting off, because you haven't really like developed your style yet, and you're just new. You're new as an artist, and you're just building your way up, so you ain't got nothing to worry about. This is for the people who are already like established, or who've been trying for a long time. This is some insightful information. So there is a lot of skillful artists, but they are not on the main page of social media that much. They are, but you see all the other artists with the stylistic styles on a main page. Wow, this isn't a bad thing. I think that like big skillful artists are overlooked, and it's due to the fact that most of the time the stuff that they're doing art wise is very like on a professional level, and most of the time people are looking for certain stuff that pleases them, appealing to their eye. And what I've noticed is the people who is like looking and consuming certain artwork on social media is basically a lot of people who is in a fandom. You see, for example, I like to like be on Twitter most of the time, and the stuff you see on there is not very impressive at all. No offense to the artists, but most of the time it's not very impressive at all. Just like the stuff on Tumblr. The only reason why this stuff is being pushed is because it's fandom stuff, and it pleases a lot of people within their fandom. It doesn't have to look good. As long as they got an audience, it's gonna get pushed out there. It doesn't have to look good. And it's just really, if you've been there striving for a long time, improving your work, and just trying to get lucky and promoting yourself, and it's just very complicated. This is the reason why. The reason why it's so complicated is the fact that people do not care about your stuff skill wise. They don't care. They want to see stuff that appeals to them. It doesn't matter if it's not polished or not. If you just post it out there, I guarantee somebody's gonna like it regardless of the quality. If it appeals to somebody, that's the only thing they're worrying about. Art style does play a part in whether or not you're going to be famous online or not, because people are very picky when it comes to art styles. And this is very complicated. It's very complicated because it's a lot of people that want to get their work seen, but they're overlooked because people don't want to see the stuff that looks different. They want to see the same stuff over and over. Nobody wants to go out of the way and be different. Everybody wants to be the same nowadays. That's why I've noticed everybody copy off of each other's And then most of the time artists are too busy trying to copy off a popular artist that's already big, take part of it and then use that, and then it's just basically the copy and paste art style over and over again. I noticed that a lot of artists do this. A lot of online artists are delusional. I noticed that too. Anyways, yeah, so sometimes you'll see people with unique art styles. Sometimes you'll see impressive people. Most of the time the impressive people is hard to find because they're very under the fandom crap that's pushed, because people is too busy obsessing over fandom stuff and they don't want to go out of their way to find stuff that actually took hours to make, or it doesn't look good to them because the art style is not drawn a certain way, so that automatically gives them X regardless of how long they made it. Here's an example. So I started off posting art website a while back in 2019. My art was not good and it was very bad, and people was avoiding it a lot. When I post fan art, I would get a lot of attention, and I was thinking about giving up on that site, but I kept going, and then the followers came in and I still drew the same, and I kept drawing because I had fun. So I built up an audience, and regardless of how bad it looked, it still got attention, right? So what I've also noticed is the fact that your work, and like I said before, your work doesn't have to look good as long as you have an audience. They'll avoid your work if the art style doesn't look good, or if the art looks bad. If it doesn't please the eye, they're gonna avoid it, because people in these days, they don't want to see nothing different. Everything has to look the same, and it just has to appeal to them all the time, because who cares about hard work, and who cares about something that looks different? It looks different, therefore we don't like it. It's not that appealing. I don't like how the characters look. You get people like that avoid your work for stuff that don't even look good, for stuff that was drawn basically any kind of way. I'm not saying that people who don't draw good aren't good artists. I'm just saying for people who don't take the time to better their work, they just put out the stuff out there, you know. Anyways, I decided to start over, and it was very difficult, and I'm still having a difficult time right now, but I built my audience back, most of it, like half of it back, and I improved my art since then. And I've noticed that it don't matter if your art is quality or not, or polished, they don't care, long as it appeals to a certain audience. But when it comes to original work, like if you're drawing OC crap, it has to look a certain way. They're not gonna automatically like it. OC work is hard to be seen by people who is just there for fan art. It's not easy to find an audience regarding original creations and all that stuff. So quality really doesn't matter. It just matters if you're appealing to the audience, and if you're making stuff to a audience. It doesn't matter what your stuff looks like, what your artwork looks like. When it comes to art style, people don't want to see anything that's different. They want to see the same thing over and over. They're not used to seeing different art styles. I like different art styles. I like to embrace artists that don't share the same styles, because it's annoying. Everybody draws the same now. You can't tell the difference. Everybody has the same freaking art style nowadays, and don't lie to me. Shoot, I've been on Tumblr. They all got the same art style. If they're a popular artist, I guarantee you the artists on Tumblr have the same art style. If they're popular, they all share the same art style. Same thing goes for Twitter. They all have the same art style. Everybody draws the same. Nobody wants to make their own unique style. Everybody's afraid to be different now because being the same and standing out is bad. So every now and then I like to make these drawings where I just draw on a different style and then I draw on my style and then I put them next to each other. I always like to point that out. It's like ridiculous. Like, who cares about how one work should be drawn in? Because it appeals to you. Like, I've been noticing that people will get mad just because they think that a person should draw in a certain art style just so it can please them because they don't like how their art look. That's fine. They go find somebody who draws in that style and somebody's work that appeals to you, because it's ridiculous. At the end of the day, the art style judgment, I like to call it, is ridiculous. And the people who has normalized people drawing the same and normalize people who draw different and pushing them away and making them outcasts, that is just the dumbest thing I've ever noticed in the art community. But it happens, and it's not a lot of people that points it out. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. It's not appealing to the eye, therefore I'm not gonna like your work. I'm gonna avoid it the best way I can. I only stick around if everybody else is liking it, or if you have an audience already this big, I'll stick around then. Or I'll like it then if you have an audience. That's the only time people care, if you have an audience. Or you're drawing fan of stuff to appeal. Or if it's drawn in a style they like. Nothing can be drawn in a style that doesn't pleases anybody. Or if it's your own thing that looks very different from the majority, it's bad. But that's all I gotta say about this situation. Have you ever been judged as an artist by the way you draw? Have you noticed the behavior evolving around the art style judgment going on in the art community? And you can share your thoughts down below. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time in the next video.